وعليكم السلام
عليكم
دكتور.
السلام دكتور.
Okay. Today we'll discuss one more important topic, that is the anatomy of the liver as well as the biliary tract. Coming to the objectives which will be covered in this lecture will be: one, we should be able to know the location of the liver, the subdivisions, relations and peritoneal coverings of the liver, then the blood supply of the liver as well as the formation of biliary tract, biliary system. Okay, so these are the specific objectives related to this topic. So coming to the, before we start the anatomy, we should know why it is so important to study the liver. Okay, so for that we have to know its functions. So these are some of the important functions of the liver. One is it is very helpful in the production and the secretion of the bile. It is the main organ which will produce as well as secretes the bile. The second is it is the most important site for the metabolism of the carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins, all which are absorbed from the intestine. They are metabolized here. All the carbohydrate, lipids, and proteins are all actually metabolized here. The third is filtration of the intestinal venous blood. Okay, so the blood will be filtered in the liver. The fourth is secretion of heparin, or the synthesis of heparin, which will take place in the liver. And the fifth is it helps in the detoxification of any toxin which has entered the body. So it will detoxify any harmful substance which has been taken up. Then the production of the bile pigments from the hemoglobin. Once the hemoglobin is broken down, then the production of the bile pigment from the hemoglobin will take place here. And also this is the site for storage of most of the vitamins. Okay, so these are some of the important functions. So a lot of important functions. One is metabolism of all carbohydrate, lipids and proteins, as well as the secretion of bile, then filtration of blood, secretion of heparin, detoxification, bile pigmentation, pigments formation, as well as storage of the vitamins. All this will be taking place in the liver. So that's why the study of the liver becomes very important. So now we'll go to the anatomy of the liver. Where exactly is the location of the liver? Now if you see here, this is present in the which quadrant? It is present in the right left hypochondrium. Right hypochondrium. So not left, it is the right hypochondrium, but it will slightly enter towards the left side later. Okay, especially the left lobe. The right lobe will mainly occupy the right hypochondrium. It is located in the upper part of the abdomen, just below the diaphragm. So just below the diaphragm, it will be present on the right side. And the presence of this liver will push actually the diaphragm slightly upward. So in this part, the right side of the diaphragm dome shape is much more domed and it is slightly more higher. And all the organs on the right side are pushed down by the kidney and other because of the presence of the liver. So this occupies a very important region. So it is located in the upper part of the abdomen, just below the diaphragm. It is completely surrounded by a fibrous capsule. So the whole organ of liver is covered by a fibrous capsule and partially covered by the peritoneum. So partly it is covered by peritoneum. So it is also retroperitoneally placed. So because it is partly covered, it is not completely covered. So here you can see the liver. This is the diaphragm present here, just above the liver, and here you can see the peritoneal folds. Peritoneal folds. We'll talk about that later. Okay. Now, as we know, the liver is said to be the largest gland in the body. Among all the glands, this is said to be the largest gland. And it weighs approximately 1.5 kilos, approximately 2.5% of the whole adult body weight. So the whole body weight, almost 2.5% will be from the liver, because it weighs around 1.5 kilos average. So as I said, it lies mainly in the right hypochondrium. So as we know, we have the 9 quadrants. This is called as the right hypochondrium. This is the left hypochondrium. This is the hypogastrium, umbilical. Sorry, this is epigastrium. This is wrongly mentioned here as hypogastrium. This is the epigastric region, umbilical, and this is the hypogastrium. Okay, so there is a change in terminology here. So this is the epigastrium, and here with the hypogastrium, this is the umbilical. Right and left lateral areas, as well as the right and left inguinal regions. Okay, so this is the lumbar, right and left lumbar regions. They are also called right and lateral regions, or they are also called lumbar. Okay. Then coming to the main site, it will be present mainly in the right hypochondrium. Then also it will occupy the epigastrium. As I said, it is wrongly labeled as hypogastrium. It is the epigastrium. So it will be present in the epigastrium, as well as even occupy some part into the left hypochondrium, because the left lobe goes even up to the left hypochondrium. It is protected by thoracic cage and the diaphragm, as you can see here. So the liver is well protected by the thoracic cage. As you can see, the ribs as well as the thoracic cage, even the costal margin is covering the liver. Okay, and above it is covered by the diaphragm. So it is well protected by the thoracic cage as well as the diaphragm. Its right lateral surface lies deep to the ribs from 7 to 11. So the right lateral surface lies deep to the 7 to the 11th rib. All these ribs are covering it, and it is well protected. The liver crosses the midline. As you can see here, this is the midline of the body, passing through umbilicus as well as sternum, but it will cross towards the, from the midline towards the left side, to the left hypochondrium. So now the liver, if you see here, it is divided into two large lobes. The larger one, that is called as the right lobe, and a smaller one called as the left lobe, and they are separated in between by a ligament called as the falciform ligament. Now coming to some of the relations of the liver. So anteriorly, we have the anterior abdominal wall, which will be covering the liver at the subcostal angle. Okay, then above as well as anterior, we have the diaphragm, which is covering, as well as right and left costal margins. So the costal margins will be there here, so that will be covering, as well as the, so this is the right costal margin, and here will be the left costal margin, which will be covering the liver, and right and left pleura. So the right pleura will be the liver, the lung, as well as it's covering the pleura, especially the pleura will come in the front, and it will cover the liver. Base of the right and left lungs. So the lungs also, because above the diaphragm will be the lungs, and they have a small space between the chest wall and the diaphragm, where they can enter and they can cover up to the liver also. So the liver, the lung, the pleura, everything covers the liver. Okay. Then the xiphoid process, in the center we have the xiphoid process, that is also covering, as you saw in the previous picture. Here you can see here the xiphoid. This is the xiphoid process of the sternum, which is also covering the liver. So all these structures are covering the liver from the anterior side. Okay. So here they are showing you the diaphragm. Then we have the costal margins, right and left costal margins. Then from above we have the diaphragm again, as well as the ribs and xiphoid process. All these structures are in the front. Now coming to the posterior inferior surface, or it is also called as the visceral surface of the liver. So this visceral surface, which is below, that is called as posterior inferior surface or visceral surface, because it is in contact with the viscera, the organs in the abdomen. Which are those? One is the esophagus, as you can see behind. We have the esophagus here. Then we have the stomach here. Then we have the duodenum here. So stomach contains the duodenum. Okay, that is also behind the liver. Okay, then we have the gallbladder, which is behind the liver. Then we have the right colic flexure of the colon. Then we have the right kidney. So now here the liver is removed so that you can appreciate the kidney, because in this picture with the liver it is difficult to, and all the structures is difficult to see. So now we can see the kidney as well as even the diaphragm, sorry, the duodenum, sorry, the diaphragm is here, the duodenum here, and the right colic flexure of the colon. Okay. Then also the along with the kidney we have the suprarenal gland, right suprarenal gland, that is also there. So each one of these has its own impression on the surface of the liver. So all these will be having their impressions on the liver itself. If you see the liver, there will be impression of the kidney, the suprarenal gland, duodenum, and other structures. Now coming to the peritoneal relations of the liver. So this is the picture showing you the side view of the liver with the peritoneum. So this is the side view seen from the side. So this is the liver, this is how it looks like. This is the visceral surface, posterior inferior surface. And you can see the peritoneum, how it is covering. It is not covering completely. So these areas where it is not covered, those are called as the bare areas of the liver. So the liver is completely surrounded by the fibrous capsule. So fibrous capsule is throughout, everywhere, the black line. But the gray line, which is the peritoneum, okay, is partially covered by the peritoneum. So liver is completely surrounded by the fibrous capsule, but only partially covered by the peritoneum. So the bare areas where the peritoneum is not covering, this red line is showing you the bare area where there is fibrous capsule is there but no peritoneal cover. That is called as the bare area of the liver. So it is an area on the posterior surface of the right lobe where there is no intervening peritoneum. So you cannot see the peritoneum here. Okay, between the liver and the diaphragm. So diaphragm is here on the top black line, and the gray line, this is the peritoneum, but the peritoneum doesn't enter here. Okay, so the diaphragm is directly in contact with the fibrous capsule of the liver. So those areas are called as the bare areas of the liver. Now you can see here the same is shown here. So this is the peritoneal fold coverings, and this part of the area of the liver which is seen from behind. So this is called as the bare area of the liver, bare area. So there, this is the largest bare area which is present here. So there are other smaller bare areas of the liver, which include the porta hepatis, where porta hepatis is that area where the structures enter or come out. Okay, that is called as the porta hepatis. So we'll see the porta hepatis. Then the fossa of the gallbladder, where the gallbladder is present. Okay, that is also there. Then the groove for the inferior vena cava. This is the inferior vena cava, where the groove for the inferior vena cava is there. There also peritoneum doesn't cover. So these are smaller bare areas. One is the porta hepatis, fossa of the gallbladder, as well as groove for the inferior vena cava. Now coming to the surfaces of the liver. The liver has three surfaces. One is the anterior superior surface, what you are seeing here, this smooth surface, superior as well as anterior surface. This is called as anterior superior surface. Okay, because it is a continuous line, superior and anterior, so it is called as anterior superior surface. Okay, which is also called as the diaphragmatic surface, because diaphragm will be covering it and it will be convex in nature. So diaphragm will be covering anteriorly as well as superiorly. So it is also called as the diaphragmatic surface, and it is convex surface. Then we have below, we have the inferior, posterior inferior surface, which is also called as the visceral surface, because as we saw before, viscera or the organs of the abdomen will be related to that relatively flat surface. Okay, so now here you can see this is called as if you see from below from here, this is how it looks like. So this is the posterior inferior surface or visceral surface. Now here you can see the impressions of different organs as we studied before. So this is the renal kidney impression, this is the right colic impression, then we have the this is the esophageal impression, and here there is impression of the stomach, and here is the caudate lobe, caudate that we'll study later. So all these impressions are there. So that's why it is called as the visceral surface, or it is also called as the posterior inferior surface, where the viscera of the abdomen will be in relation. Now, if you see here, this is the gallbladder. This space here where the gallbladder is sitting, that is called as the fossa for the gallbladder. As this part is called as the porta hepatis, and this is the space for the inferior. These are the smaller bare areas, as we studied before. So one is the porta hepatis, fossa for the gallbladder, and the groove for the inferior vena cava. So these are the three areas which you can see here. So groove for the inferior vena cava, the fossa of the gallbladder, and the porta hepatis. Porta hepatis. So these are also bare areas. But the larger bare area is seen here. This is the larger bare area, which is present on the right lobe of liver. Okay, so these are bare areas, and these are the surfaces. This is called as the anterior-superior surface, and this is called as the posterior inferior surface, or also called as the inferior visceral surface, and this surface is called as the diaphragmatic surface. Then apart from that, there is also a surface called as the right lateral surface. This surface here on the right side. So this is called as the right lateral. There is no left lateral because it becomes sharp here. But on the right side, there is right lateral surface. Lies deep to the ribs from 7 to 11. So the ribs will be covering it, and even you can see some of the impressions of the ribs on this liver. Okay, so the 7 to 11th rib will be covering this part, right lateral surface. Now coming to the diaphragmatic surface, which is the superior surface here, as we saw that diaphragmatic superior as well as anterior-superior surface, that is called as the diaphragmatic surface. This is the side views showing you the peritoneal covering. This is the side view. This is the back with the vertebrae, and this is the anti-abdominal wall. And here are the organs of the abdomen, above is the lungs. Okay, so now here you can see the peritoneal coverings. This is the anterior superior surface, and this is the visceral surface, inferior surface. Now coming to the diaphragmatic surface, that is the anterior superior surface. It is convex. Uppers, as we saw, this is convex, as you can see here, as well as smooth, as well as molded to the undersurface of the dome of the diaphragm. As you can see here, the dome of the diaphragm is exactly in connection, as well as the same shape as that of the liver. So this is the dome of the diaphragm. You can see here, this is the brown colored line. This is the diaphragm. Okay, which separates it from the pleura, lungs, pericardium, and the heart. So above that is the lung here, as you can see here, as well as you can see, imagine even the pleura, which is covering the. So here you can see the pleura extending all the way up to here, but the lungs up to here. Similarly, posteriorly also you can see the lung here, and the pleura extending all the way up to here. Okay, so it is the diaphragm will separate the liver from the pleura, lungs, even the heart will be present here on the top, okay, above the diaphragm. So as well as its covering, that is the pericardium. Now covered with the visceral peritoneum. So here visceral peritoneum, except posteriorly is the bare area of the liver where it is lies in direct contact with the diaphragm. So it is covered by this anterior superior surface, is covered by the peritoneum all the way here. Okay, by the visceral peritoneum. There are two types of peritoneum. One is called as the parietal peritoneum, which will be covering the posterior wall of the abdomen, anterior and posterior wall of the abdomen. Then, and that part of the peritoneum which is on the organ, that will be called as the visceral peritoneum. So visceral peritoneum will be covering the liver, except all areas except the bare area. Bare area is behind, where it cannot cover, so it will be devoid of peritoneum. So it is called as bare area of the liver, where it lies in direct contact with the diaphragm. Here it is in direct contact with the diaphragm. Now coming to the visceral surface. Okay, it is posterior inferior surface, as we saw before. So this is called as the visceral surface, which is in contact with the viscera or the organs of the abdomen. So it is the posterior inferior surface related to the abdominal viscera or the organs. It is covered by peritoneum except for the fossa of the gall. This whole area, this is the visceral surface. This whole thing is covered by the peritoneum except the fossa of the gallbladder, where the gallbladder is present. Below that it cannot cover because the gallbladder is covering that region. As well as the porta hepatis, where it is surrounding but it is not covering the porta hepatis. As well as even the where the inferior vena cava is there. So there also that also area is called as bare area. Okay. So it bears multiple fissures and impressions. So this visceral surface will bear many of the impressions. Some of the important impressions as I showed before. So this is the gastric impression, that is for the stomach one. Okay. Then we have the esophageal impression, esophagus. So here will be the, actually here it is shown. So this is the esophageal impression. This is for the caudate lobe. So the two should be here. So the two should be here. This is the esophageal impression. Then we have the three, the colic impression, as you can see here. So this is the colic impression, where the right flexure of the colon will be present. Okay. Then we have the four is the renal impression. So here will be the renal impression, and five will be for the suprarenal gland, suprarenal, and sixth is for the gallbladder. So all these impressions are there only on the visceral surface, not on the diaphragmatic surface. Diaphragmatic surface doesn't have impression except the for the it is in contact with the dome of the diaphragm. Coming to the fissures, what are these fissures? When the peritoneal folds go in between and separate the liver up to a certain extent partially, and these are remnants of something, those are called as fissures. So two sagittal oriented fissures linked centrally by the transverse porta hepatis. There are two fissures on right side and left side which look like H, and there will be a transverse fissure. We'll talk about them. They form the letter H on the visceral surface. Okay, which are those? We'll talk about the left fissure is continuous groove formed by the anterior fissure of the round ligament of liver. If you see here, this is the round ligament of liver, and posteriorly fissure of the ligamentum venosum. This will continue posteriorly as the ligamentum venosum. So this is the round ligament, and this is the ligamentum venosum, which form one part of the H, one H. Okay. Then the right side, on the right side, it is continuous grooved by the anteriorly fossa of the gallbladder. So this is the fossa of the gallbladder where the gallbladder is sitting. Then posteriorly, the groove of the inferior vena cava. Above will have the groove for the inferior vena cava. So these are the two limbs of H. Okay. Then what form the transverse? So this is how it looks like. Then this is the porta hepatis, which form the transverse connection. So it looks like the letter H. Now coming to the porta hepatis, that is the hilum of the liver. Every organ has a hilum. What is hilum? That is the root of the organ where the structures enter or come out. That is called as the hilum. So here, this is the hilum of the liver, or also called as it has a specific name called as the porta hepatis. Okay. So a transverse fissure found on the posterior inferior surface and lies between the caudate and caudate lobe. So there are two lobes here. This is called as caudate and this is called as caudate lobe. Okay, between the two, this porta hepatis is present. It lies, its lips are attached to the lesser omentum. Its lips are attached to the lesser omentum. Okay. Structures passing through the porta hepatis. Now, what are the structures which are entering or coming out through the porta hepatis, or the hilum of the liver, or the root of the liver? From anterior to posterior, these are the structures which are entering or coming out. One is the right and left hepatic ducts. If you see here, so this is the right hepatic duct, this is the right hepatic duct, and this is the left hepatic duct. Okay, so this is the right coming from the right lobe, and this is the left lobe. So from the left lobe there is one hepatic duct coming. So there are two ducts, right and left hepatic ducts. Okay, then right and left hepatic arteries. So similarly you can see this is the left and this is the right hepatic artery which are coming. Then right and left branches of the portal vein. So you can see here, this is the left branch and this is the right branch of the portal vein. Then also you can see some of the nerves like the sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves fibers which will be entering, then as well as coming out, and few hepatic lymph nodes can be seen here. Very few hepatic lymph nodes as well as the lymphatic vessels can also be seen, but they are very thin, very difficult to see. But you can see, appreciate the right and left hepatic ducts. These are the two ducts. Then the right and left hepatic arteries. Then right and left branches of the portal. This is the portal vein and the two branches of the portal vein. So all this can be seen in the liver. Now going to the ligaments of the liver. Ligaments of the liver are very important because they are very important remnants, developmental remnants, and they play a very important role. One is called as the falciform ligament. Falciform ligament is the front, if you see here, which separate the right lobe from the left lobe. So these are called as the falciform. It is the two-layer fold of the peritoneum. It connects the liver with the diaphragm. So it is connecting the liver with the diaphragm above. Okay. The liver with the diaphragm, anterior abdominal wall as well as umbilical. It also connects the anterior abdominal wall as well as it goes up to the umbilicus, through which the round ligament is going up to there. It is sickle shaped. Free margin contains the ligamentum teres. So it contains the free sickle shaped free ligament that will form the ligamentum teres, that is the round ligament. If you see here, this is round ligament of the liver, and the remnant of the umbilical vein. So this is the remnant of the umbilical vein in case of the fetus, which has become small and it remains as it has become a ligament. Okay, that is called as the ligamentum teres. If not, it was the umbilical vein during fetal life, which carried oxygenated blood from the placenta to the fetus. So it was carrying this vein, umbilical vein was carrying the oxygenated blood from the mother to the fetus. So such important was this structure, which has now become the ligamentum teres. Okay, ligamentum teres. Then we have the ligamentum venosum behind. If you see here, this is the ligamentum venosum. It is the fibrous remnant of the fetal ductus venosus, which has now become remnant to form the ligamentum venosum, which shunted blood from the umbilical vein to the inferior vena directly without going into the liver, because in case of the fetus the liver will be non-functional, much functional, so the blood will be directly drained from the fetus to the inferior vena cava of the without going into the liver. Okay, so this was shunting. So this is the ligamentum venosum, this is the round ligament of the liver. So these are two very important remnants which are present as ligaments in the liver. So here you can see this is the falciform ligament. Now coming to the lobes, the liver is divided into, as you can see, a larger lobe called as the right lobe and a smaller lobe called as the left lobe by the attachment of the falciform ligament in between. The right lobe is further divided into caudate and caudate lobe, as you saw before. So there are two lobes here. This is called as the caudate lobe and this is the caudate lobe. This is present within the right lobe of the liver. This is called as the caudate and this is called as caudate lobe. Okay, here you can see again. So this is the caudate lobe and this is the caudate lobe, which is present within the right lobe of the liver. The caudate lobe is connected to the right lobe by the caudate process. Okay. Note that the caudate and caudate lobes are functional part of the left lobe. Even though they are present in the right lobe, they are actually part of the left lobe functionally. So the physiological lobes of the liver are different from the anatomical lobes. Anatomical lobes, depending on the look, how they look. So this clearly looks this is the one lobe and this is the left lobe. Okay, so easily we can separate. But in case of physiological lobes, the line is drawn here. So the right lobe is here and the left lobe is here, and caudate and caudate lobe belong to the left lobe. So functionally, the caudate and caudate lobe are part of the left lobe, but anatomically they are part of the right lobe. So there is a difference between the physiological and anatomical lobes of the liver. Any doubts still here? Any doubts? Okay, you can just take a 5 minutes break, go to the attendance, mark the attendance for this lecture, and you can come back in within 5 minutes. Okay, now we'll talk about the blood circulation through the liver. The blood circulation of the liver is very unique. If you study the blood circulation, it is very unique blood supply. Okay. So the venous blood is drained by the right and left hepatic veins, which drains into the inferior vena cava in the back of the liver. But the main circulation, the main blood supply of the liver is by the hepatic artery as well as the portal vein. But usually all the organs are supplied by the arteries, but if you see here, observe here, it is also supplied by the portal vein, the hepatic artery and the portal vein. Portal vein is not draining the liver, it is supplying the liver. And the unique feature is not only it is supplying, it is the major supply. Almost 70% of the blood is supplied by the vein, portal vein, and the hepatic artery. It is also supplying the liver, but only 30%. So this is a very unique feature where we see an organ supplied by the vein. Okay, so that is for the liver. This is only for the liver, where it is supplied by a vein, and it is major supply 70%. Okay, hepatic artery is supplying the liver and it is 30%. Portal vein is supplying, as you can see, this is the portal vein which is branching, and it will be supplying the liver, and it is the major supply. And you can see the hepatic artery. This is the hepatic artery which supplies the liver almost 30%. Okay, so the hepatic artery will bring the oxygenated blood. Why it is supplied by artery and the vein? So the artery will supply the oxygenated blood to the liver, which is required by the liver. But what is the function of the portal vein? Portal vein will bring the venous blood rich in end products of digestion. So all the digested food which is supposed to be metabolized here will be brought by the portal vein from the different parts of the intestine, especially the small part of the intestine, small intestine. Okay, to the liver. So it will bring all the digested food into the liver so that it can be metabolized, as we saw before. So this liver is the main site of the metabolism of the carbohydrate, proteins, and fats. So that's why all the venous blood rich in the end products of digestion is brought to the liver. So that's why it is supplied by the vein, which is the portal vein, which brings almost 70% of the blood to the liver. And the function of the hepatic artery is to bring the oxygenated blood to the liver so that its cells can get nourished with the oxygen. Okay. Coming to the venous drainage of the liver, it is by separate veins. That is the drained by the right and left hepatic veins. Those are here behind. Right and left hepatic veins. Right hepatic vein, and here are the left hepatic vein, which will drain directly into the inferior vena cava. Inferior vena cava is here, so it is draining through. Okay, in the back of the liver. So the blood supply, arterial supply is by the hepatic artery and the portal vein, and the venous drainage is by the hepatic vein. So you should know the difference between the portal vein function and the hepatic vein function. Okay. Now coming to the lymphatic drainage of the liver, as we know it, because it is highly the site of main metabolism, that it will produce a large amount of lymph, about 1/3 of to 1/2 of all the body lymph. So almost 50% of the 30 to 50% of the lymph is produced here. Okay. The lymph vessels leave the liver and enter several lymph nodes in the porta hepatis. So as we saw, the porta hepatis that side, that is the hilum of the liver. So where the lymph vessels all will drain to the go to the lymph nodes which are present in the porta hepatis. The efferent vessels pass to the celiac group of lymph nodes. Celiac group, there is the celiac artery. So somewhere here will be the, see, this is the celiac artery. So porta hepatis will be here. So there are group of lymph nodes here where they will drain initially. Then finally they drain around the celiac artery, that is called as the celiac group of lymph nodes. Okay, so it will drain into the cilia group of lymph nodes. A few vessels pass from the bare area of the liver, pass through the diaphragm to the posterior mediastinum lymph nodes. So some of the vessels from the bare area go to the posterior mediastinum, that is into the chest. Okay, so if there is any pathology within the liver, it not only drains into the abdomen, but it can spread to the even the thoracic region because of there is connection of the lymphatic drainage to the posterior mediastinum lymph nodes. Okay. Now coming to something called as the portocaval anastomosis, portal systemic anastomosis. I think we had studied it before also in case of the esophagus and other parts. Okay, and it is present in the esophagus, lower part of esophagus, as well as in the anal region. All these are the different sides of the portocaval anastomosis, where the systemic veins anastomose with the portal veins. So there is connection between the portal vein and the systemic veins. Okay, so it is a specific type of anastomosis that occurs between the veins of the portal circulation and the veins of the systemic circulation. So the systemic circulation vein will come in contact with the portal vein. In portal hypertension, these anastomosis open and form venous dilatation called as varices. As you can see here in the lower part of esophagus, you see here is the portal vein. So if the portal vein is usually draining into the liver, if there is any pathology in the liver and that leads to non-flow of blood into this region to the liver, there is backflow and there is increased pressure within the portal vein, that is called as portal hypertension, that leads to reverse flow of blood towards the anastomosis, where the systemic anastomosis esophageal veins here are anastomosing with the portal vein. Okay, so here this lower part of esophagus or the anal canal, all these are the sites where there will be portocaval anastomosis. So if there is any pressure within the portal vein because of the pathology of the liver, like the cirrhosis of liver and other condition, that leads to backflow of blood, and these sites will become varicose and there can be severe bleeding through them. Okay, in portal hypertension, these anastomosis open up and form the venous dilatation called as varices. Okay, so the sites will be the lower one third of the esophagus. As you can see here, this is the lower one third. Then the second thing is structure is the anal canal, where there can be severe bleeding. Sometimes there can be also dilatation near the paraumbilical region here, as well as retroperitoneum, behind the peritoneum. All these are the sites where there will be portocaval anastomosis, okay, during portal hypertension. Now coming to the biliary system. Biliary system. Biliary system, this gallbladder and its ducts together, it form the biliary system. So the biliary system consists of the ducts and organs. Which are those? The liver, gallbladder, as well as the bile ducts, all together form the biliary system, that are involved in the production, storage, and transportation of the bile. So all the structures which are helpful in the production, storage, as well as transportation, together they form the biliary system. So bile is secreted by the liver, okay, and at a constant rate of about 40 ml per hour. So the liver cells have the capacity to produce the bile. So the liver bile is produced by the liver. When digestion is not taking place, bile is stored and concentrated in the gallbladder. So the bile which is produced in the liver will pass through the hepatic ducts and come to the gallbladder, and it is stored in the gallbladder. Okay, so when there is no actual digestion of the fat. So once there is fat intake, then this gallbladder will release the bile. Okay, so when digestion is not taking place, bile is stored and concentrated in the gallbladder. Later it is delivered to into the duodenum. So later it will be delivered into the duodenum, especially during fatty meals. Now coming to the bile ducts. So this is the picture showing you the histological feature of the liver. So here you can see that these are the hepatocytes. This all you will study in detail when you study the histology of the liver. So here we will just briefly discuss how these ducts are formed here. Between the ducts, you can see these are the bile ducts. Okay, So these are called as the smaller one are called as the bile canaliculi. So the bile duct consists of the bile canaliculi, which are between the liver cells. Okay, then these will join together to form the interlobular ducts. So there will be initially there will be interlobular ducts. Okay, smaller ducts. Then there will be intrahepatic ducts. So there will be intralobular. Then we'll have the intrahepatic between the hepatic cells. Okay, intrahepatic ducts. Then we have the right and left hepatic ducts. So all these intrahepatic ducts and interlobular ducts. So if you can see here, so these are all joined, smaller ducts all joined to form the hepatic ducts, and hepatic ducts they become the right and left hepatic ducts. Okay. So the right and left hepatic ducts join together to form the common hepatic duct, and then the common hepatic duct from the cystic duct from the gallbladder, and common bile duct will form the bile duct. You will see how it is formed. Okay, I will show you. So here you can see here these are the two hepatic ducts which join together to form the common hepatic duct. Common hepatic duct joins with the cystic duct. This is the cystic duct coming from the gallbladder to form the common bile duct. So which is going here. Okay. The smaller interlobular tributaries of the bile ducts are situated in the portal canals of the liver. They receive the bile canaliculi. So these are the bile canaliculi. So they will receive the bile canaliculi and they join to form the interlobular ducts. The interlobular ducts join one another to form progressively larger ducts. Eventually, at the porta hepatis form the right and left hepatic, which you saw here. So they finally all small ducts which are there in the liver join to form the right and left hepatic ducts. The right hepatic duct drains the right lobe of liver, and the left duct drains the left lobe. As it is understood, the right duct will drain the right lobe, left duct will drain the left lobe of the liver, as well as the caudate and caudate lobe. After a short course, the hepatic ducts unite to form the common hepatic duct. These right and left hepatic ducts join together to form the common hepatic duct. The common hepatic duct is about 1.5 inches long and descends within the free margin of the lesser omentum. It joins by the cystic duct. Now, if you can see here, the cystic duct, which is coming from the gallbladder, will be joining the common hepatic duct to form the common bile duct. Common hepatic duct now changes into common bile duct. Okay. Now coming to the common bile duct, this is very important because the common bile duct will join with the pancreatic duct. Here, if you see here, this is the pancreas and we have the pancreatic duct. So the common bile duct is almost 3 inches long. So this is the total length. First, it lies in the right free margin of the lesser omentum. Then it runs behind the first part of the duodenum. If you see here, this is the first part of duodenum and it is going behind the first part of duodenum. Lastly, it lies in a groove on the posterior surface of the head of the pancreas. If you see here, it lies over the posterior surface of the head of the pancreas. Here, the bile duct comes in contact with the main pancreatic duct. If you see here, this is the pancreatic duct and this is the common hepatic duct come in contact with each other. Okay, where it is dilated to form the ampulla of water. Okay, the bile duct ends below by piercing the medial wall of the second part of the duodenum. Now, if you see here, the common bile duct and the pancreatic duct will pierce the second part of the duodenum. Okay, it is joined by the main pancreatic duct where they open into the hepatopancreatic ampulla, which is also called as the ampulla of water. So this join together, pancreatic duct and hepatic duct join together to form the ampulla of water, or it is also called as hepatopancreatic ampulla. The ampulla opens into the lumen of the duodenum by means of a papillae. So it opens into the duodenum by the means of a papilla called the major duodenal papillae. The terminal part of both the ducts and the ampulla are surrounded by circular muscles. Around that there is a sphincter-like action taking place. So this is called as the sphincter of OD. So this is the sphincter which is around the ampulla of water near the major duodenal papillae, so that it acts as a sphincter, and whenever there is the required amount of bile, only then it is released. The pancreatic juice as well as the bile juice are released. Now coming to the very important component of the gallbladder, the biliary system, that is the gallbladder. This is the gallbladder here. So it is pear-shaped sac lying on the visceral surface of the liver. So as we saw, it is present on the visceral. This is the diaphragmatic surface, and this is the visceral surface where we can see the gallbladder. So the capacity of the gallbladder is almost 30 to 50 ml. That's all. It is very small. That is 30 to 50 ml. It stores and concentrates bile. What is the function of this gallbladder? It will store the bile, as well as liver is producing the bile, but it is stored in the gallbladder, as well as it is concentrated in the gallbladder. Okay. So it is divided into fundus body and neck. It has three parts: the gallbladder, but the fundus body and the neck. The part which is below the lower margin, inferior margin of the liver, this is called as the fundus. Remaining part is the body, and the neck is that part where it opens here, okay, into the common hepatic duct. So that is called as the neck, okay, or where it opens into the cystic duct. That is more specific, where it opens into the cystic duct. That is called as the neck of the gallbladder. The fundus is rounded and projects below the inferior margin of the liver. As I said, it is rounded and projects below the inferior margin of the liver, where it comes in contact with the anti-abdominal wall. At the level of the tips of the right ninth costal cartilage, around the ninth tip of the ninth costal cartilage, you can feel the liver. The body lies in contact with the gallbladder fossa. As you can see, this is the body which lies in contact with the gallbladder fossa. Okay. The neck becomes continuous with the cystic duct. As I said, the neck becomes narrow and it continues as the cystic duct. The cystic duct joins the common hepatic duct to form the bile duct. As we saw, the cystic duct joins with the common bile duct to form the common hepatic duct to form the common bile duct. What are the functions of the gallbladder? Why it is so important to study the gallbladder? Because this also has very important functions. When digestion is not taking place, the sphincter of OD is closed and the bile can accumulation in the gallbladder. So when digestion is not taking place, the sphincter of OD is closed always, and the bile accumulation of gallbladder will take place. So there will be accumulation of the bile within the gallbladder, and it concentrates. The gallbladder concentrates and stores the bile. It selectively absorbs bile salts and keep the bile acids. Okay. It excretes cholesterol as well as secretes mucus. That is the function. It excretes the cholesterol and secretes the mucus. The gallbladder contracts in response to the hormone cholecystokinin. So it will be in response to the cholecystokinin that it will release the bile, which is produced by the duodenum on arrival of the fatty food from the stomach. So whenever there is fatty food coming into the duodenum, the cholecystokinin is released, which helps in the contraction of the gallbladder, and the bile will be released. Now coming to the cystic duct. So cystic duct, this is the gallbladder here, and here this is called as the cystic duct. Okay, cystic duct is almost 1.5 inches long. It is connects the neck of the gallbladder to the common hepatic duct. Okay, to form the bile duct. So it joins with the common hepatic duct to form the bile duct here. It is somewhat a shape. If you look, it looks like a S shape and descend for a variable distance in the right margin of the lesser omentum. Okay. Its mucous membrane is raised to form spiral folds. If you see here, its mucous membrane is forming folds inside. Okay, that is continuous with the similar folds in the neck of the gallbladder. These folds, commonly known as spiral valve, it acts like a valve, so and they are called as the spiral valve. The function of the spiral valve is to keep the lumen constantly open. So keep the usually valves means it will keep the lumen closed, but here because of its spiral nature, it will always keep the lumen constantly open. So this is all about the liver, the gallbladder, and the biliary system. So if you have any doubts regarding this, you can ask me.